Hello, and welcome to this 146 OSS training video on Icao flight rules. As a reminder, this video is intended to hit the highlights. A review of the following resources should be completed prior to flight outside of the United States. The first section of AFMAN 11217 Vol 1 is devoted to native tongues and accents. When flying overseas, you'll be working with controllers who are speaking English as a second language. Expect to hear foreign languages as well as heavily accented English on the radios. While controllers are required to be familiar with aviation English, they may not be able to understand colloquial English. For example, terms such as 6,800 will be understood, whereas 6,800 may cause confusion. Keep it professional and clarify anytime confusion exists. A few other differences exist, such as request to start engines and when you can expect to pick up your IFR clearance. Other specifics include hold short line versus holding point, back taxi versus backtrack, say altitude versus verify level, and airport versus aerodrome. Icao countries use different verbiage when clearing pilots on SIDs and stars. 4 different phrases which Icao controllers may use are climb flight level via SID and descend flight level via star. These mean that pilots should climb or descend per the instructions on the SID or star. Open climb flight level and open descent flight level mean that pilots should climb or descend to the specified flight level without stopping at any intermediary level off points. Furthermore, pilots are not required to make specific climb gradients or VVI requirements. In Icao countries, up to 3 names for altimeter settings can be used. The following memory tool can help you to remember the difference between QNE, QNH, and QFE. QNE is the easiest altimeter setting to recall. QNH is what you want to set once you start your descent. Think of it as a regional altimeter setting. QFE is the altimeter at the specific field where you are landing. Icao countries distinguish between transition altitudes and flight levels. The level in between is called the transition layer. All altitudes above the transition altitude are called flight levels, so rather than saying leaving 7,000 for 8,000, controllers will expect to hear leaving flight level 7 for flight level 8. In addition to calling proper terminology, it is important to know how flight levels and transition altitudes impact changing altimeter settings. In the climb, change altimeter to QNE passing through the transition altitude. In the descent, change altimeter to QNH or QFE, the regional altimeter setting or the field elevation as assigned when leaving the transition level. Specifics on where flight levels and transition altitudes lie can be found in the Foreign Clearance Guide, AP, or in Jeppesen approach plates. Of all the differences between FAA and Icao procedures, the entry into course reversal maneuvers has historically been the area of greatest confusion for U.S. Air Force pilots. Unlike in the U.S., the course reversal protected airspace may not include airspace on the outbound side of the procedure turn fix. In the figure to the top right, you can see the difference between Icao and FAA protected airspace. Because of the way Icao approaches are constructed, course reversal procedures must be entered from a track within 30 degrees of the outbound reversal track. Furthermore, you may not enter an Icao procedure turn using the holding in lieu of the procedure turn technique. As depicted by the figure in the bottom left, planes that are coming from Sector 2 outside of a 30-degree intercept heading should enter for one turn in holding prior to commencing the approach. Pilots should not request maneuvering airspace to perform an alignment maneuver because foreign clearance controllers are unfamiliar with this terminology. Instead, plan on performing one turn in holding before commencing the approach to align yourself. When entering holding, plan on using the FAA Icao method to enter holding rather than using the 70-degree method. Your FMS follows Icao entry procedures, so building a hold in the box is a good technique to ensure that you are entering and holding using Icao procedures. There are a few other nuanced differences that Air Force pilots should be aware of when flying in Icao countries. Circling approaches are performed slightly differently. Also, a set screen height of 16 feet can be used for all airfields. As a reminder, screen height does not account for low close-in obstacles, so continue to watch out for trouble T's on your approach plates. This concludes this 146 OSS training video on Icao flight rules.